say that we start with Carolina from BNFIX in Barcelona. So it's good to have you here. I think, Carolina, it's the first time that you join a tech seminar here, and you're going to introduce a special holding company called ETVE, which is quite popular in Spain, and you will make us familiar with key elements and what's the meaning and for it and what's the importance. So glad to have you here.
Okay, so my name is Carolina Mateo. I'm an economist. I'm head of non-resident and international taxation in the office BNFIX has in Barcelona. First of all, I would like to thank you for your attention and for allowing me to take part of this tax seminar. It's the first time for me, so I'm a little bit nervous. Before starting with the presentation, I would like to talk a little bit about the origins of this special tax regime and also what the government and the Ministry of Economy states about this special tax regime. Well, this regime was created in 1995, emulating existing figures in countries such as Luxembourg or Denmark, with the aim of minimizing the tax bill of large business groups. What the government states about this special tax regime is that these are instrumental companies aimed at tax optimization within large business groups. What we have is that these structures do not pay taxes, neither for the capital that gets in or gets out, nor for the dividends or capital gains perceived by the ETB structure with the origin of the foreign companies in which it participates. And furthermore, if the shareholders are non-residents, the dividends that the shareholder gets, the capital gains that they get from the ETB structure do not pay taxes in Spain. For all that, this is an interesting tax engineering structure to take into account. And if well designed, it's an interesting structure to save taxes. But on the other hand, it lacks direct economic effect in Spanish territory. The ministry says that the main operations of these structures consist in the transfer of interest between companies inside the same business group. For that, they can be valued in millions of euros and at the same time lack direct economic effect in Spanish territory. And then, why is this structure interesting for Spain and why this structure was created? The government states that they only serve to attract capital, to place Spain as a focus for international investments, and then to improve and enhance the image of Spain. Then we're going to get into the presentation. We see here the topics we are going to comment. In the first place, we have the legal regulations. In the second place, we'll see the tax requirements in order to apply for this special tax regime. In the first place, and the most interesting part, is the tax benefits of dividends and capital gains taxation. We'll see some examples. And also we have the annual compliance that the ETB structure must accomplish. We'll talk about other main features as, for example, the treatment of losses, the write-offs, the non-deductible expenses, and also we'll review the double taxation treaties that we have in force, signed by Spain, and finally we'll set up the conclusion. So let's get started. We'll talk about the tax regime. So we have this regime is currently regulated in Law 27/2040, articles 107, 108, and also in its development regulations. They are contained in Royal Decree 634/2015, Article 51. As we said in the introduction, this special regime was created with the main objective of attracting foreign capital and with the aim of maintaining neutrality in the dividends and gains taxation. So with this, specific investment vehicle was created for large investors with tax advantages for them. In this way, the investor channels its capital through the Etve structure, from which he will develop his investments. Doing this, he can benefit of the double taxation treaties that Spain has seen with third parties. We'll see now about the tax requirements. We have 4 requirements in order to apply for this special tax regime. The first one is the corporate purpose for the Etve structure. The second one is a requirement of the percentage of equity holding in foreign companies. The third one is for the subsidiaries, is an activity requirement for the subsidiaries. And the fourth one is a formal requirement, it's the communication that we have to do to the tax agency. We'll see in detail now. The corporate purpose, it must include the administration and management of foreign securities in Spain. This means that this structure should not be a shell company. It has to be provided with an organization of material and personal resources. And also there's a formal requirement for the securities. They shall be nominative. This means that we have to give information about the shareholders and its tax residency and the taxes, the tax figures that they have. About the percentage of equity holding, the Etve shall have a minimum 5% stake in the stockholders' equity of foreign entities, or alternatively, if this stake is under 5%, if the purchase value is higher than 20 million euros. For the activity requirement for subsidiaries, what we have is that these companies must carry out active business activities outside Spain. This means that they should not be shell companies. You know what I mean? So when yeah.
This actively in the sense that is rental income. Is that, for instance, a license income? Is
But
that active? I mean, if you carry on that.
if we talk about rental income, we have certain requirements that we must accomplish. For example, we cannot have a company with an only property. At least they have to have 8 or 9 properties, so that the activity of management and administration, it's like, for example, you can have the activity of making chairs or trading with gas or.
So it's not the nature of business; it's rather the size. You
Yeah.
have a certain scale.
When you talk about rental, you have to be in a big size. Okay, in rental. When we talk about rental. About the communication to the tax agency, we have to make a formal communication to the tax agency so that we can apply for this special tax regime. And we have to give details of the foreign companies in which the Etve structure participates, and also about the tax figures that they have in the country settled of the company, of the foreign company in which it's settled. Now we're getting into the most interesting part. These are the tax benefits for the Etve structure. We will talk about the taxation of dividends of the Etve, also the capital gains. And now in the third place we'll be in the position of the shareholder of the Etve structure. And then we have 3 cases. It will depend on the residency of the shareholder, and even if the residency is a Spanish residency, we have to differentiate between companies and individuals. We'll see some examples now. When we talk about the taxation of the dividends received by the Etve structure, they are exempt for taxation from the corporate income tax, provided that the next requirements are fulfilled. The first one is that the 5% stake has to be continuously held during the year prior to the distribution of dividends, or if the price is if this stake is under 5%, this purchase value, the 20 million purchase value, should be held during the year prior of the distribution of dividends. And also there's another requirement. The second one is the foreign entity shall be subject to a tax figure similar to corporation income tax, the Spanish corporation income tax, at a minimum 10% rate, and shall not be registered in a territory or country considered by the Spanish regulation as a tax haven. In this case, the dividends shall be exempt taxation. It's an effective one. It's an effective one. When we talk about taxation of the capital gains, it's the same. If the requirements are fulfilled, this 5% stake having during the whole year prior and the minimum 10% rate, the capital gains received by the entity structure won't pay taxes in Spain. Now, if we are in the place of the shareholder, we have three situations, as we said before. The first one is in case that the recipient, the shareholder, is a company with Spanish tax residency. In this case, we can apply for the deduction to avoid international taxation, and we will see an example. It will be clearer in this way. We have this structure. Here you have the shareholder, the corporation with Spanish tax residency that participates in the ETV structure. And in this example, we have three types of companies in which the ETV participates. We have a company in Argentina, another in Mexico, and another in Brazil. Let's suppose that we have paid taxes in Argentina for a value of 30, in Mexico for 20, and Brazil 25. This is different because we have a 25% rate in corporation income tax law, and we'll see how this works in our territory. So let's imagine that we receive a net dividend, the ETV structure receives a net dividend of 100 in every country, okay? So withholding taxes at source will be 0 for the application of this special tax regime. Also the taxes to pay in Spain will be 0, as we've seen. So the tax base in the shareholders will be 100 always. And the payable here by the corporation income tax law will be 25 in every case. So what we can deduct as we paid in the source is always, the limit is always what we should pay here in Spain if the dividends were received here. So at the end, for the Argentina subsidiary, we have to pay 0 taxes. In the Mexico, as we paid 20, we have to pay 5. In Brazil, for the same mechanism, we'll pay 0 taxes. So at the end, we'll pay 5 on 300 of dividends received. So this is an effective 1.6%. So it's quite good. No, you'll receive this 100 is with the deduction of the taxes paid abroad. You know, this is an example. I don't know exactly what they pay, but they pay taxes in the country. In the foreign entities, will pay taxes. Because of the special tax regime, it says that they are exempt of withholding taxes. How does it? No, but they are going to pay taxes. If we accomplish the 5% stake and if they pay taxes in the source at a minimum 10% rate, then withholding taxes won't apply. They won't apply. No, it's not because of this special tax regime. As the shareholder will be the ETV structure. If we accomplish the 5% stake and also the tax figures in Mexico, for example, will be at least 10%. They won't do the withholding taxes.
Because Mexico respects the.
Yeah.
That's effectively it's indirect tax credit.
Yeah.
Spanish state credits foreign paid taxes.
Yeah.
And is that because the ETV is in between? Is that if it were not held via this
Correct.
ETV rather than directly?
Correct.
We would not get this indirect tax credit.
Correct. This is because of the ETV structure. We are channeling our investments, so we are using it to benefit from the taxation. You know?
Just to follow on, so all these countries will look to the Spanish shareholder, which they would make sure is an ETV structure
Yeah.
in order to allow.
Yeah. We have to give information to these foreign companies in order that they can apply correctly the taxes. All the communication that we do to the Spanish tax agency about the requirements, tax figures, and everything. So we have to give all this information also to the foreign entities so that they don't withhold the taxes. Okay? The next one is when we have the shareholder. The next one. So when the recipient is an individual subject to personal income tax, we have the same, it's the same mechanism. We can apply for the deduction to avoid international taxation. As you can see here, the example changes, but at the end it's the same. So for the individuals, we have an escalate rate for this kind of dividends. So we have 19, we have 21, and we have 23. But for simplification, I've taken 19 in this case. Okay. So it's the same thing. We have when 100 received by the ETV structure. Next one, withholding taxes at source will be 0. Okay. The tax base for the shareholder directly will be the same as the dividend perceived by the ETV structure. For this, we are channeling our investment through this structure. The variable here at the rate 19% will be 19. Always the deductible amount will be the limit that we should pay here in Spain if the dividends were perceived here in Spain. So at the end we have for a total dividend of 300, the result to pay is 4. It's 4 units. So it's like a 1%. It's very good. And now.
If you have a structure where the individual as a shareholder owns shares in the Spanish corporate vehicle, and just domestic case, and there is a dividend paid from the company to the shareholder, how would that be taxed at the level of the shareholder?
But you mean without the ETV structure?
Without the ETV, no, that's understand because effectively you don't, in this case, there's you pay 90% of dividend income. Is that so?
Yeah, well, we have an escalate rate. It's 19 for the first 6,000, then we have 21% until the 60,000, and then so on. It's 23%.
So again, the benefit is the tax credit you get also as an individual share.
Yeah, but it's not as interesting as when the shareholders are non-residents. We'll see now. Because if we have, in this case, where the shareholder is not considered as a resident in Spanish territory, these dividends or capital gains will be not considered as obtained in Spanish territory, and therefore they won't pay taxes, they won't be subject to withholding taxes, and you can take advantage of the double taxation treaties signed by Spain with third parties. This is the interesting part, when the shareholder is a non-resident here in Spain. As you see in this example, the dividend perceived by the shareholder is exactly the same as the one perceived by the ETV structure. So at the end, there's a neutrality in the taxation. So we're using this ETV structure in order to canalize and to benefit from the taxation treaties that Spain has signed. in order to pay less taxes or even no taxes in the shareholders' residency. Is any question on that? Any more questions? This is the most interesting part for non-residents. This structure is interesting for non-residents shareholders, really. So we're getting to the tax obligations. We have a lot of tax obligations or formal obligations to accomplish for the Etve structure. The first one of them is with the Spanish Registry of Companies. The second, we have to give information to the shareholder in order that he can accomplish with its tax obligations. We have the corporation income tax, also the transfer pricing obligations. I think we are going to talk about this more in depth in these sessions. And we have another formal obligations with the Ministry of Economics also, so we have a lot of that. In the first place, with the Registry of Companies, we have to submit the financial statements every year, and we have to inform of the total amount of income that has been exempt from paying taxes for the application of this special tax regime, and also give information of the taxes paid abroad. Also, we have to, the Etve shall have its own independent accounting books in accordance with our generally accepted accounting principles that I think are the same for all the UE. And we have to register, as we said, the company's accounting books and also the financial years, filling out a specific form issued for that matter for the auditors. So, the information to provide to the shareholder is the one that it's the necessary information in order that he will be able to comply with its tax obligation in its tax residency. So, about the corporation income tax, we have to fill out income tax returns every year, and the deadline to submit this corporation income tax will be 6 months, and we have to let pass 6 months from the termination of the financial tax year, and then we have 25 days to submit the corporation income tax. So in our case in Spain, the submission should happen in July, from the 1st of July to the 25th of July. About the transfer pricing obligations, I will do an overview because I know you were talking about that in another session. So we have that all the transactions must be documented and certifying that this have been done at a fair market value. And for that we have 5 methods contained in the corporation income tax law. These are the comparable free price method, the resale price method, the distribution of result method, the increased cost method, and also the net operating margin method. If it's not possible to apply for one of these methods, other generally accepted methods and techniques will be accepted, always that respect the principle of free competition. I think this is the same in all countries, I think. So about the documentation we have to submit, we have, regarding transfer pricing obligation, we have the master file and the local file. Also we have the country-to-country report, but this is for those groups, those multinationals whose turnover is higher than $150 million, I think. The master file gives information about the whole structure of the group, worldwide, of all the companies and its relations between them. And the local file gives information about the company, in this case settled in Spain, and its relation with other companies within the same group.
The master file, local file, if you're a small company,
You have to provide information about the country file always. The master file is more an obligation of the holding company, of the main company in the group. No, if you, for example, for the Etve structure, we have, this is Etve structure, we have to have the country file. This This is mandatory, not the master file. The master file gives information of everything. The holding company must manage this kind of information, but it has to be provided to all companies within the group. Yeah. Well, if we talk about the obligation, the transfer pricing obligation with the tax agency, we have two types of forms, and this is here we consider the volume, the size of the company. If we have a small company, this is those companies whose turnover are under 10 million euros. We have the FOB form. This FOB form has to be submitted at the same time of the corporation income tax attached to it. And we have the 232 form. This is another form. This is for companies considered as medium or large companies whose turnover exceeds 10 million euros. And the deadline for submission of this form for large companies is 10 months from the termination of the financial year. So in our case, our financial year goes from the 1st of January to the 31st of December. The submission of this form should happen during the month of November. With the Ministry of Economy, this is the last obligation that we have. We have to give information to the Ministry of all the securities held abroad, and we have to give this information of the investments separately. We have to give information separately of each investment. So we talk now about other main features, about the treatment of losses, the write-offs, the figure of the tax figure, the capital tax. We talk about capital gains from the sale of the Etve securities, and also about non-tax deductible expenses, the net financial expenses, and the double taxation treaty signed by Spain. So we'll make an overview of everything, all these points. So the losses derived from the sale of securities held in a non-resident subsidiary are tax deductible for the Etve structure, but certain limitations apply. Obviously, if the participation that we have in non-residents have been acquired for a company of the same group, certain limitations should apply. The adjustment through a write-off is also a tax deductible expense, but it has to be, the value of the write-off has to be in accordance with the value of the foreign entity. So it has to be sustained by economic figures. About the capital gains derived from the sale of the Etve participations held by non-residents in this case shall be exempt from taxation. If we sell the securities of the Etve structure and we are a non-resident shareholder, we won't pay taxes in Spain, as they understand these gains are not perceived in Spanish territory, for what we said before. So the transfer has not to be resident in a territory considered as a tax haven, because if so, this won't apply, and they should pay taxes in Spain. About the contributions made to an Etve structure, we have the capital tax figure. This is at rate of 1%, but currently here in Spain, we have the exception from paying taxes. These contributions to the Etve structure should be made in cash or alternatively in subsidiaries, in shares of non-resident companies. So we have the two options, always except from capital taxation. About the non-tax deductible expenses, we talk about the financial expenses. And you see here those that correspond if we have a debt with other related companies and we want to purchase with other related companies inside the group of shares of other companies, or we want to make a capital contribution to other related companies, there are limitations for these expenses to be deducted. If no economic valid motivation exists, for example, if we are in a process of restructuration, this should be understood as a valid economic motivation. About the net financial expenses, this is relatively new in our regulation, in our tax regulations. We have the figure of the expenses versus the income. We will have to make this calculation, and at least 1 million euros is considered as tax deductible. Think that the ETV structure should be valued in millions of euros, so 1 million euros is not that much as a deductible expense in this kind of structures. If not, if our net financial expenses are higher than 1 million euros, we have to make the calculation, the equivalent of the 30% rate of the operating result. Obviously, if this is higher, will be a tax deductible expense. About the double taxation treaties signed by Spain, we have currently 102 double taxation treaties signed by Spain, with 93 of them being in force right now, and the other 9 are in different stages of processing. You can see here the one with Azerbaijan, Qatar, Montenegro, Namibia, Peru, etc. In addition, there are other double taxation treaties that are being renegotiated right now. I think the one with the USA, it's now in force, but the United Kingdom one is being renegotiated right now for what is happening. So here you have the list of all the double taxation treaties that we have signed by Spain. The names are in Spanish, but the flags are what they are, so I think you'll understand which are the countries. Okay. So the conclusions, at least as we've seen, this is an efficient legal and tax structure to take into account when investing abroad, because of its significant benefits, its tax treatment in capital gains and dividends. It's an ideal platform for investing in Latin American countries for its economical potential. So at the end, what we have is this double taxation. Next slide, please. These double taxation treaties that we have seen with Spain, also combined with the special tax regime, special foreign residence, make accomplish the main objective of foreign investors of increase the investment and increase the return of their investments using this special tax structure, the ETV structure. So thank you so much for your question. If you have any questions.
Two quick questions.
Okay.
What's the average, let's say, minimum cost for a non-resident to set this up?
The minimum cost you mean for
Services.
yeah, you can have a company like that with capital of 3,000 euros, but obviously if you want to invest abroad, the investment should be higher. If you know. But you can.
All the service fees for the annual filings, the forms, everything.
The cost you mean in the cost of managing of all this? You mean for a professional or?
Service fees,
Yeah, it should go around for a year around 3,500 euros for doing all these things: the corporate income tax, the financial statements, all the requirements. Yeah, it can be like that. It depends. It will also depend in the volume of the information that we have to manage. So the minimum will be that, but on that will go on.
And how long does it take
To create this structure, it's like in a month we can have it. In a month, more or less, with all the communications to the tax agency and to the company's registry and everything, a month, or even less.
Widely used, and who makes use of this ETV in your preference?
For example, it's used, we don't have a lot of companies in this, but I've been reading a lot about that, and I read about, for example, structures such as Google or Facebook, or even gas companies that has the holding company, for example, in Ireland, which the tax rate is 12.5%, for example. they use this structure to develop their investments in other countries. So at the end, what they're paying is the 12.5%. This is an engineering tax structure. You have to take into account many things. So at the end, you have to make a work of designing how do you want the structure to be, and how is it possible to make to pay less taxes, tax optimizations. We have to see case per case. It's important to see the structure and how it's settled, but at the end, what is interesting is for foreign investors to take advantage of these double taxation treaties that we have in Spain. You imagine a foreign investor, for example, coming from Russia, they don't have double taxation treaties signed with Latin countries, for example. So you can use the CTB Spanish structure because we have many double taxation treaties, and at the end, the shareholder who is tax residency is in Russia can take advantage of the double taxation treaties, and at the end, he will pay a little amount of taxes due to this special tax regime and also the double taxation treaties signed by Spain. So it's interesting. It's very interesting.
Carolina, thank you very much. That was a tough ride through Spanish corporate taxation, but it was very interesting, and I think we learned a lot, and it seems to be a very attractive model for foreign investors. So glad to have you here. Thank you very much.